work as a resident advisor for the University of Colorado at Boulder in Libby Hall, and my job description is to help support and ease the transition of first-year students here on campus. A typical day consists of going to class, doing my daily activities as a college student, and then coming back and kind of talking with residents, making sure they're okay, doing bulletin boards to kind of convey important messages of the month, as well as typical administrative stuff that RAs are required to do. So I work on a staff of 15 RAs, and we have one supervisor who's known as our hall director. There are, I want to say 7 men and 8 females on our staff. So Libby Hall is actually an interesting hall to be in because we have very separate wings that are gendered. So most of the females spend their time interacting with female residents, and most of the men spend their time interacting with the male residents.
Okay.
Being a female RA and approaching male residents for incidents has been an issue where because I'm smaller in stature, because I'm female, I don't get the same amount of respect as a male RA would in the incident. So one particular one I had last year was I knocked on a room for noise, the door opened, the resident who was a male called me a bitch and then shut the door in my face. I mean, one specific example I can think of is when we deal with students who've been sexually assaulted or raped, and the responding RAs and females tend to react very aggressively towards the male RA, just because they're triggered by the fact that he is a man. So in those situations, we really try and make sure that we remove any triggerings in those situations and put in a female RA. So I think with a male RA and a female resident, especially in Libby, it's harder to say what that relationship is like because it doesn't occur as often.
Okay.
Specifically with incidents, especially if they do involve male residents and there's 2 female RAs on duty, we will try and enlist the help of like a male RA because we feel very intimidated by the male residents in some senses. So that's just one example where gender plays a role in the workplace, is that there's a very different type of communication that occurs between a female RA and a male resident versus a female RA and a female resident.
Okay.
So if we call conversations with residents one-to-ones, and so we're required to complete a set of one-to-ones every 2 to 3 months. And so what this entails is that we have to have a conversation with these residents and kind of ask them how they're doing, what they're struggling with, what their goals are. So with a female resident, it's easier to have a conversation with them because if you're a female, you kind of connect on a different level. I've noticed that female residents are more likely to share. They're more open to talk about deeper things, whereas with male residents, you kind of really have to push to get even something. You really have to like sit down and really get to know them, but even then they're still uncomfortable with sharing very personal things.
Okay.
I'd like to say I have a really positive relationship with the residents this year. I'm very close to a lot of the females and equally as close to a lot of the males, but my stronger connections are definitely with the females. Again, because they're more willing to open, and I think they connect more with me than the male residents do. And I know that as an upperclassman, I'm also seen as intimidating to a lot of residents.
Okay.
I'd say we work well to resolve issues just because we're a very diverse staff. We've got people from different countries, from different backgrounds on our staff, and we're really able to communicate with each other. Within the staff, we also have people who are really close, who formed really strong friendships. So there's this idea that, like someone always has my back on the staff, which is